Good morning, everyone. Even when it's loud and bubbly and I'm starting to start, it's beautiful. It just means it's community and we're here together and we're socializing. So keep on doing that before and after the service. So welcome to First UU. My name is Becca Gray, and I am your service leader today. So to everyone here in the sanctuary, everyone here on Zoom, wonderful to see you. Today is Sunday, June 15th, and it's a beautiful day to be together. I would like to thank Ava for providing the prelude, "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning," with music by Richard Rogers. We are glad to have you here, and we hope you can stay for coffee or tea and conversation after the service. But in addition to that, we're going to be having the Social Action Committee salad. We're going to have a wonderful lunch for you to stay afterwards, held by the Social Action Committee. Please remember that we have wonderful announcements, which I'm not going to take up the time here today. There's always going to be in the hallway on the board and as well as in the weekly email. So please make sure to always check on that. The chalice lighter, oh, did I skip? I'm sorry. Okay, then let me just put it off to Eva because I obviously missed a step. So after you. Well, let me thank Ava again for the beautiful prelude. Sometimes it's hard for me to follow the directions, and I appreciate your compassion with me this morning. The chalice lighter in the sanctuary today is Neil. Thanks, Neil. The chalice lighting words are "Beacon of Freedom" by Tracy Johnson. We kindle our chalice flame this morning, awakening the fire of our ancestors in our hearts. Beacon of freedom held out to light the way, light of reason illuminating the path, spark of courage igniting our spirits, a glow with hope for all we endeavor to do together. Holy flame of times past, brighten this present moment, that we may be the love that is our center and our foundation, both. Blessed be.
flame by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy. Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
Our opening words are by Lee Ongiri. Today and on all other days, may we give thanks for the fathers, papas, pop-pops, dads, and daddies who represent us for the steadfast presence that holds us in love and launches us into the world, whether we encounter it when we are small or already grown. May we be mindful of those for whom this day is complicated or irrelevant or even downright ugly. Some among us have no relationship with our fathers for whatever reason. Some of us have had hard and broken edges separating us from our fathers. Some among us have longed to assume the role of father and never had the chance to take it on, its magic or mystery. Some among us have fathered in ways that will never be recognized or appreciated, that will never be counted in any official reckoning. Amid the grief and difficulty of the day, may we remember to see and revel in the people of all genders who love and support and nurture and parent and father. May our gratitude for the good and the healthy be a balm for the places of pain. May it point us in the direction of more truth-telling and more healing, more love and more connection. On Father's Day and on all other days, our song for the month of June is With Heart and Mind, number 300 in the Gray Hymnal. You may stand or sit to sing as you choose, and the words will be on the screens.
With heart and mind and voice and hand
Good morning, everyone. My name is Becky Mark, and I have the Time for All Ages reading today. The title is The Flower Ceremony, A Plain and Simple Beauty. Today, we'll hear a story by Janine K. Grossmeyer about the very first flower ceremony, which we now call Flower Communion. We'll follow the story with our very own Flower Communion. In the city of Prague, in the land of Czechoslovakia, in the year 1923, there was a church. But the building did not look much like a church. It had no bells, no spires, no stained glass windows. It had no organ to make beautiful music. It didn't even have a piano. It had no carvings of wood or statues of stone. It had no candles or chalices. It had no flowers. The church did have some things. It had 4 walls and a ceiling and a floor. It had a door and a few windows. It had some wooden chairs, but that was all, plain and simple. Except the church also had people who came to it every Sunday. It had a minister whose name was Norbert Čapek. He had been the minister at the Plain and Simple Church for 2 years. Every Sunday, Minister Čapek went to the church and he spoke to the people while they listened, sitting quietly and still in those hard wooden chairs. When he was done speaking, the people talked a little bit among themselves and then they went home. And that was all. No music, no candles, no food, not even coffee or donuts. Springtime came to the city of Prague, and Norbert Čapek went out for a stroll. The rains had come, the birds were singing, and the flowers were blooming all over the land. The world was beautiful. Then an idea came to him, clear and simple, plain as day. The next Sunday, he asked all the people in the church to bring a flower or a budding branch or even a twig. Each person was to bring one. What kind, they asked? What color? What size? You choose, he said. Each of you choose what you like. And so the next Sunday, which was the first day of summer, the people came with flowers of all different colors and sizes and types, just like we have here. There were yellow daisies and red roses and maybe not yucca, but many hydrangeas, carnations, sunflowers. There were white lilies and blue asters, dark-eyed pansies and red roses. There were pink and purple, orange and gold. There were all those colors and more. Beautiful flowers filled all the vases, and the church wasn't so plain or simple anymore. Minister Čapek spoke to the people, and they listened, sitting quiet and still in those hard wooden chairs. These flowers are like ourselves, he said, different colors, different shapes, and different sizes, each needing different kinds of care, but each beautiful, each important and special in its own way. When he was done speaking, the people talked a little among themselves, and then they each chose a different flower from the vases before they went home. And that was all. It was beautiful, plain and simple as the day. Yes. Did I go in the wrong order?
Wasn't your fault, but the order of service was not correct in terms of the sequence of things. And So I think it's a good idea to wait on the flower communion itself till near the very end of the service so that we don't have wet flowers with our hymnals or other paperwork and stuff like that sitting at our chairs, okay?
Because I'm gonna take that yucca, and I don't think I don't want to take that early. I'll take that at the end.
Okay, you have first dib.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your call.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I apologize. I was the one with the interruptive phone. I was trying to get on Zoom. I usually do that before service and I forgot, so. I am, oh my gosh, I only have about a year left before I turn 60. I'm gonna try to enjoy that as best I can. So I am a 5'8" woman with curly, kind of platinum blonde, white hair. And I am very, very happy to be here with all of you today. I am a member of the Pastoral Care Circle. And as we focus on the theme of freedom this month, we celebrate the freedom to show up just as we are and make mistakes. Sometimes we enter this space carrying a great weight, the weight of sorrow, of worry, of anger. Sometimes we enter feeling light with joy and celebration. Always we enter together, free to be who and how we are, and to hold all that we bring in our cupped communal hands. As a community, we share joys and concerns to keep connected. Slips of paper are available at the greeters table for those in the sanctuary to use for their joys and concerns. During the week, you may send your joys and concerns by email to pastoralcare@springfielduu.org or by leaving a voicemail on the church phone 417-883-3922. If you're on Zoom, please use the chat box now for sharing your joys and concerns. All of these joys and concerns will be included in the member's email on Tuesday. We honor each joy or concern with a lighted candle, a symbol of the love we as a community offer for each of these joys and concerns. And this morning, Neil will be lighting the candles. Thank you. And now as we begin this time of sharing, know that though we are in multiple physical spaces, we are together in beloved community. To begin, we hold in love all of us, those present and those absent, and we light a candle for our church community. Try to please. All right, so Eunice Waller shares, congratulations to Adam DeBacker, who was featured this month in the MSU Alumni Magazine. There's a copy on the table over by the kitchen if you'd like to take a look at that. We drop a candle of joy and congratulations to Adam. Millie shares, I am so grateful for the opportunity to participate in Democracy in Action by attending the No Kings rally yesterday at Chestnut and Boonville. We drop a candle of joy for Millie. Steve Samuelson shares a concern about a health issue which seems to be subsiding. We drop a candle of concern for Steve. Joan Test shares a joy for all my dad gave me, including a good start in life. Today is his birthday. He would be 100 years old. We drop a candle of joy for Joan and her dad. Neil Richardson shares a joy for everyone that volunteered for or donated to or attended our Pride Fest booth this weekend. It was a wonderful experience. We drop a candle of joy for Pride Fest and everyone who helped. Mark McGinn shares, "It was a joy being with our fellow Americans to oppose fascism joyfully. Thank you all. We'll need to do more." We drop a candle of joy and concern from Mark. Roxanne Darby shares joy for the massive turnout at the No Kings and Pride Fest events yesterday. This is what democracy looks like. We drop a candle of joy for that. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to read this announcement or someone else. Should I, Laura? No? Okay. Then I will leave that one for the proper person. And let's look online. Jesse shared, "I would like to share how amazing the turnout was for the No Kings protest yesterday. Here in Springfield, there were over 3,000 people participating." And drop a candle of joy for that wonderful rally. The Crespo family shares a tremendous joy. "Rebecca is in remission after 6 months of dedicated healing." Yeah. And they say, "Thank you all so much for your continued support." We light a candle of joy for the Crespo family. And then finally from Jane, a concern for her 92-year-old sister in California who is awaiting a decision about entering hospice. We light a candle of concern for Jane and her sister. We honor the complex and heartbreaking struggles of our world. We light a candle for all who are impacted. And in closing, for those joys and concerns that remain unspoken, we would light a candle if we had one. Yeah, there we go. May we hold each of these joys and concerns in our hearts and minds, and may our community of love ease sorrow and boost celebration. And now let us join together in 1 minute of shared silence, followed by Spirit of Life.
to me.
This week in UU history. The week of June 15th in UU history. On June 18th, 1873, Unitarian suffragist Susan B. Anthony was fined $100 for voting in Rochester, New York. She refused to pay the fine, and it was never collected. Offering our gifts to support the work of building inclusive and just communities is just one of the many ways that we live into justice and equity together. Some of us have much to give, some have little, and together it is enough. We are enough to work together in a world where every human can live into their best and most authentic self. Today's Donate the Basket offering will be collected for our 2025 priority of helping with the local housing crisis. All undesignated cash and the checks with DMB in the memo line will be added to our Donate the Basket fund. At the end of the year, the congregation will decide how to use the fund to address this critical need. If you donate electronically, be sure to indicate it's for D the B. If electronic giving is your preferred method, or if you're joining us here on Zoom, virtual giving options are available via our website, springfielduu.org. The offertory is Andante Cantabile by Tchaikovsky, performed by our amazing Eva.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear, is my voice carrying? Great. So that speech therapy is not for nothing. Um, my name's Mark McGinn. I'm, let's see, my pronouns are he and him, but I much prefer friend, comrade, and today, poet. I'm reading a couple of poems about fatherhood. One has got a few snarly words in it, but we've all heard them before. And it's about the unconscious passing along from fathers to sons. And while this one may sound like it's a lousy pass on, it reminds me of how my resilience came from my father's resilience and his courage when he was blasted out of the sky in the Second World War. This is the only poem I ever had a conflict with an editor over. She didn't like my title. So we haggled over the phone for a few minutes and we came up with this. The title of this poem is Fern Creek, 1960. Fern Creek is a little part of Louisville, Kentucky now. Fern Creek. They plow up from the tree line, voracious and blind, single-minded, he thinks, sneaky. Burrowed trails hidden deep in dank bluegrass collapse when stepped on into soggy warrens. Their razored claws inches away, grinding. Like Hitler's Wehrmacht, he sniffs, blitzing your mother's garden through ranks of plants, tomato, melon, peas, and corn they rasp every night, leaving shriveled hunks. Barefoot and sweating, my father huffs through the backyard again, tracking them, their trails really. They never haul up cooperative into Kentucky sunlight, shake their eyeless heads free of grasping dirt, announce their arrival, and wait all docile-like for his pine-grained Louisville slugger bat to pulp their nasty bodies. They just go deeper. Sensing his footfall and his resolve, sensing his foot. Why, thank you. Okay, they just go deeper, sensing his heavy footfall and resolve. Later, punchy drunk and armed for Normandy all over again, a flashlight against humid dark, he's stalking Nazi bastards. We watch from the porch, all stiff and spooked. Flash bang, flash bang. God damn it. God damn it. Reloads, sights down his double-barreled shotgun. Achtung, you bastards, Achtung. The recoil stuns him, lands him on his back. The flashlight's beam sulks through drifting cordite haze, rises through the breathless trees. We lead him inside, settle him at the kitchen table. Unscathed, those bastards tunnel through my moonless nights. Now for a different version of fatherhood. This is what was this published in? It doesn't make any difference. Yorkville Anthology of New Poets. So this was a long while ago. The title of this poem is Arrow. 6-year-old legs, tentative as moonlight, carry my son across the mantle of snow. A bow is held in a gloved hand. Arrows in a soft quiver are draped across his narrow chest. His quick eyes catch mine, then move to the dark copse of trees and fog, and he pivots away. Bent over, mittens from his small, cold hands dropped to snow. An arrow pulled from the quiver, he squares it on the bow and draws the string taut on his improved aim. Abruptly, tension loosed, the arrow, free of gravity, flows and arcs through the deep fog before falling, skittering along the crusted surface of flat snow. His sweet laugh launches away from me, an arrow bursting from a child's bow.
I'm Emmy Seaman, an aged white-haired woman in a red dress and a black sweater. I was an only child and a daddy's girl. My father, Bill Seaman, was born in 1907. He was a civil engineer working for the Missouri Highway Department during the 30s. During World War II, he built ammunition plants, federal highways, and military airstrips. And when a war was over, we came back to Missouri and back to the Highway Department. He was a tall, slender man, very quiet. He didn't talk very much. We teased him and called him Gary Cooper because all he said was, yep, nope. But he could be very intense, and he was a good listener, and he had very firm beliefs about right and wrong. However, if he didn't agree with you, he was still willing to listen and give it thought. And that helped me because he didn't always approve of my choices, but he still stood behind me. In his job as an engineer, he had to write a report every Friday night about the construction that he had inspected. He didn't like writing any better than talking, so he bought a Polaroid camera and took pictures, attached those to his reports. Jeff City was so impressed, they both bought Polaroid cameras for all the engineers after that for their reports. And so he always said, a picture's worth 1,000 words. He taught me how to play baseball by drawing a diamond on a piece of paper, taking his pencil, and as he played the game, moved the pencil around. And again, a picture's worth 1,000 words. He's the only man I knew that could watch a football game on television and listen to a baseball game on the radio at the same time. And not only that, but he used a piece of paper, drew the football field on the paper, used a ruler, drawing dashed lines for one team and a straight line for the other team, and played the whole game back and forth on the paper. Then in the evening, when we'd have dinner with friends, he'd replay the game and have proof of whatever he wanted to say. So that's the third time a picture's worth 1,000 words. His woodworking was his hobby, his creative outlet, and his stress relief. Many evenings after dinner, he'd go down to the basement to his workshop and work until the evening news came on, and he'd come back up, watch the news, and eat something that had chocolate in it. He was very talented, though, and one time he made a fireplace, fabricated the fireplace, and then inserted it in the wall in the living room and even cut the hole in the ceiling, and it worked. It was great. He made a drop leaf table for my mother that had piano hinges, and even though he didn't like it, how it came out, he took it apart 3 times, put it back together so would be perfect. He made many toys for me and my cousins. He made a lot of furniture, some of which I still have and use today. He really was talented. And then I want to close with a little family story about when I was probably 4 years old, visiting my grandparents who had a pig. And I'm told that I was fascinated with the pig and spent all the visit outside at the pig's pen watching it. My uncle came outside and said, "Emmy, you want to take that pig home with you?" And I said, "Nope, my daddy will make me one."
Yeah, I hope this works. Can everyone hear me? Yeah, okay, a little louder. Okay. Well, my name's David Hathaway. I'm Rebecca Mark's husband, and I'm going to just say a few words about my dad. I haven't really scripted this in any way, so it's going to be a fairly disjointed set of recollections. So I hope you don't mind. I'm an only child as well, and my mum and dad live in the UK, so I don't get to see them as often as I'd like to, probably about once a year. They do, however, enjoy coming to Springfield because they think the shopping is fun and, you know, they enjoy hanging out in the States. So my dad was born in the middle of the Second World War, and that was a very difficult time in the UK. There was rationing, there was the Blitz, and so there wasn't much money in the family. My dad didn't get many opportunities when he was a kid. He didn't even learn to read until he was 10. No one knew it at the time, but he had a mild form of dyslexia, and no one at the school, you know, the teachers at the school didn't have the time to teach him, but my grandmother did. She sat with him every night and she read, you know, books with him until he learned to read. And you would not know it now. You know, he's a voracious reader. He reads 2 or 3 books at the same time, and he can keep track of all 3 of them and talk about them intelligently, which is more than I can do. He's worn many professional hats throughout his life. He started out as a lorry driver, a truck driver, because even though he's an intelligent guy, he never had the chance to go to college because at that time in the UK, people from his background just didn't. It wasn't done. So he left school when he was 15 with, you know, very basic skills. And his first job was a truck driver, and he used to drive car transport trucks up and down the motorways in the UK. So he did that for a while and decided he didn't like it. So he, and I still don't quite know how this happened, but he managed to apprentice himself to a dental technician in Oxford. And so he trained to be a dental technician, and he did that for a couple of years and decided he didn't like it. So then he went to work at a hotel as a short order fry cook. And so even now he makes a very good steak, actually. He's a really, really good steak cook, and French fries too. Anyway, he worked his way up through the hotel hierarchy until in the end, he was the manager of this particular hotel. And he enjoyed that, but he said it was very, very, very hard work because the buck stopped with him. Anything that went wrong, he had to deal with it any hour of the day or night. So he decided he didn't like that. So he went back to being a dental technician, and that's what he did until he retired about 20 years ago. And I mean, he's a very humble kind of guy, and he would never say this, but he was a very, very good dental technician. If, you know, he could make pretty much anything that would go into someone's mouth. He could make bridges, braces, you know, pretty much whatever was necessary, my dad would make and could make. And in the end, he was the manager of a laboratory. And so he had about 4 or 5 guys working under him. And that's when he retired. Now, he retired early because about 30 years ago, I was at college, just in my first semester at college, and I had a phone call from my mum. Excuse me if I get a little emotional about this, but I had a phone call from my mum telling me that Dad was in hospital and he might not survive. And what it was, he had lung cancer. And we think it was because of all the particulate matter that he inhaled while he was doing his dental technicianing. Because back then there were no real health and safety standards in the UK. So you just did the job and, you know, got on with life. And so we think possibly, you know, Dad inhaled all of this stuff and it made him sick. So he went to hospital, and the surgeon said, you have a very good chance of not pulling through this surgery. You can either elect to have the surgery and stand the, you know, there's a possibility you won't survive, or you can not have it and you will definitely not survive. You know, got about 6 months left. So my dad chose to do the surgery. And when my mother called me, he was going to be in the surgery the following day. This was the first I'd heard of it. So, you know, luckily he pulled through. I mean, I think some of you here have met him, and he survived and is still, you know, very robust and very healthy. So I was lucky. I almost lost my dad, but luckily I didn't. Anyway, I could tell many, many stories about my dad. He's a DIY enthusiast, but a very good one. And so he built furniture, he did home renovation. He would never touch plumbing or electricity though, because he knew his limits. Also, after he retired, he built himself a little dental technician shed in the backyard. So he still did the odd job to bring in a bit of money after he retired. And for about 10 years after he retired, he was doing this. He even had offers of employment from local dentists because they wanted him to come back and work again, but he never did because the lung cancer had weakened him. Anyway, just to finish, I don't want to run over, but this is the kind of parents I have, and in particular the kind of dad I've got. When I was a child, I had to commute to school, and being blind, this was a not inconsiderable undertaking. I had to travel by bus and train and then bus again and then walk from my home to school. I did this every day, and my parents were given the choice of letting me do this or having me do this or having me go to school by taxi because the local authority, the local council would have paid for that. My parents said, no, it's best that he knows how to use public transport. So I did. And I've been told since that they were very, very worried about me, but they just let me do it. My mother was nervous. My dad talked her into letting me do it because he knew that it would stand me in good stead in the future, and it certainly has. One day, I got off at the wrong bus stop. I was going to school. I got off at the wrong stop because there were no announcements on the buses at that point in the UK. You just had to guess where you were. We didn't have GPS, nothing like that. So I got off. I thought I was at the right stop. I was not. And I knew this instantly. And I thought, well, no problem. I'll just wait until the next bus comes along and I'll get on that. So I heard the sound of a big vehicle pulling up next to me, and I thought it was a bus. So I said, excuse me, are you going to, the bus stop where I wanted to be? And this guy came down. He said, no, I'm not, but I can give you a lift. Where do you want to go? Okay. So I got up into this vehicle and I said, well, what, I don't want to inconvenience you. Where are we going? And he said, well, we have to make a few stops before we get to where you want to be, but I hope that's okay. And I said, that's fine. But what are you? What have I entrusted my safety to here? He said, oh, we're a garbage truck. Yeah. So I sat in this garbage truck. We did 4 or 5, garbage pickups around the town. And then eventually they took me to school, parked in the school car park, and I got out of the garbage truck. And I had to explain, I was in college, the 6th form, the high school at that point. So I had to explain why I was late. And the secretary said, oh, don't worry, we saw you getting out of the garbage truck. I told my dad about this at night, and he was not worried. He was not concerned. He just said, well, these things happen. This is what you have to do. You just have to make the best of what happens to you in life. And that's been their attitude all the way through. So I've been very, very lucky in my parents, in particular in my dad. So anyway, I'm going to draw to a close. So thank you for listening.
Hello, I'm Christopher Landorf, and I am a middle-aged man, the mustache, messy hair. I've got a shirt with all kinds of chemical symbols on it, and corduroy pants. I go he, him pronouns. And last time I was up here for Father's Day, I spoke about being a dad. To one girl. Now I have 2 girls, but this time I'm going to talk about my dad. Some of you have met my dad. Not many of you, but it was a long time ago. We know this because every time we visit Maine, there's this big wine bottle opener that my dad bought at an auction. Whatever it was, my mom certainly thought he paid way too much money for it, was very upset with it. The thing doesn't work anymore. And yet we still keep it on the shelf. And I've got to be honest, I feel like my mom might kind of be keeping it as a bit of a trophy because she was right. That's the silent generation. That's how they fight. Um, and that's what my dad was. My dad's was what they call the silent generation. Was born just before World War II. His mom was 40 years old at the time. He was an only child. And as a result, he didn't know his cousins at all. They were all much older than he was. And I think this really changed our family dynamic a lot because we were an extremely nuclear family. It was my sister, myself, and my two parents, and that was pretty much it, unless we went out east, which was a whole nother mess with my mom's family. That's also a story. Because of this, we had a tendency to not really, to kind of attach to other families' cultures and heritage. You start the joke, an atheist, a Jew, and a Catholic goes on a family vacation together, but that's not the joke. That's what we did every summer, really, and winter, and to this day, Christmas Eve, we all celebrate. We sing, Aruka Adonai, because whether or not it even overlaps with Christmas Eve, that's just become such a tradition for us. And I think that's why I identify so strongly as a universalist, because I really do believe that we can all kind of fit together in a good way, and it's a very strong thing that I developed partly because of my dad. My dad was an egghead. He wore nerdy shirts. When I was a kid, I had no idea what he did for a living. I remember there was a homework assignment where we were supposed to ask our dad what he did for a living, and I lied because I didn't understand it all. He started his work at Bell Labs, probably, this is in New Jersey at the time, when it was probably pretty exciting at Bell Labs. Eventually, he got transferred back to Chicago, which is where he grew up and why, I associate myself with Chicago. But my kids are just like that. They have no idea what I do for a living because it's the same thing. He had a PhD in chemistry. I had a PhD in chemistry. And it's just very difficult to explain that type of work. Working at what became AT&T at the time, he had some real oddities. He brought liquid nitrogen home from time to time, and we'd have fun freezing plants and hoses. We had bootleg Atari cartridges. This isn't a normal software. Like he had microchips that had the games flashed onto them, and he built a cartridge that we could insert the microchips to and pop them into the Atari. I had 100 or so games just from that. I wish I still had that because that was real cool. But that's just kind of the weird thing. I eventually got to work with my dad. He retired and then he worked for an electroplating company back in Arlington Heights. When you bring it all around, you look at me and I think about him back then, and really, I'm an egghead. I wear nerdy shirts. I can't bring liquid nitrogen home from work because insurance doesn't like that. But I went and bought a Dewar so I could get it at Airgas, and I did. I have brought it back because that was just part of my childhood. I mean, don't normal families have liquid nitrogen? But I talk about him as if he's in the past tense, and that's because things really have changed. He's got progressive Parkinson's, and now his priorities are quite different. He's more like a 5-year-old. He's got you know, he wants to steal ice cream and watch MASH reruns, which that sounds like it could be a lot worse. I just hope it'll probably be cookies for me, and I'll be watching Star Trek, and I really hope it comes with a nice peaty scotch. But that's what I have to say about my dad. Thank you.
Since we got a little out of order, I will say the next thing. Yeah. That's okay. I'm up here. Now, finally, and thank you to all the speakers for excellent little talks here. Now it's time for us to celebrate our own flower communion. And my name's Laura, by the way, if you didn't know. Even if you didn't bring any flowers yourself today, you please come forward to the table to take a flower and then return to your seat. If you did bring a flower or several, be sure to take a different one with you as you leave today. Don't leave quite yet, though. Come back to your seat. Eva will be playing Prelude in C by J.S. Bach as we take our flowers. And why doesn't the front row can start and progress from there and take your pick.
I think we had a few more people that didn't get flowers yet, so let me spend a moment for you to pick whatever beautiful flowers you'd like. Yeah, take your time. And Eva, thank you. That was beautiful. Well, thank you, everyone. I know that we're a little past time, but we'll be wrapping up and appreciate this beautiful ceremony. Our closing words are from Travelers Upon the Earth by Elizabeth M. Strong. It has taken long months beneath cold ground for these flowers to prepare for their blooming. It has taken each of us long times of growth through sorrow and joy to prepare for our living now. The blooming season is short. The flowers stay only a brief time. We are travelers upon the earth, travelers through all too brief lifetimes. Therefore, let our moments be bountiful. Let us rejoice in our unique colors, aromas, and sounds. Let us celebrate together in love, that as we travel away, we take with us the memory of golden hours among the flowers. And before I read we have our final hymn, I just wanted to have a couple of reminders. Next Sunday, June 22nd, 10 a.m. will be our service time compared to the 11 o'clock because we're going to be live streaming the UUA General Assembly. Also next Saturday is maybe our last social dance party. It's from 7 to 9:30. If we don't have enough people either from the congregation or from the public, it might not be fruitful. So if you'd like to join us, please, I'll be hosting and I have some other lovely members from the congregation that will be there. And especially, please stay afterwards for salad. The Social Action Committee has done a wonderful job to host lunch for us afterwards. So the final hymn is All Who Boast Us. It is number 150 in the Gray Hymnal. You're welcome to stand if you'd like, and you may remain standing after the hymn for our chalice extinguishing and unison sending words.
All whose boast it is that we come from forebears brave and free. If there breathe on earth a slave, are we truly free?
We will now extinguish our communal and personal chalices and close with our unison sending words. Our service here is ending. Our service to the world begins anew. Thank you, everyone. Hope to see you after.